Hey, I'm Emma. Since the age of 14, I've been sharing my life and healthy recipes over on Instagram, but my lifelong dream has always been to buy a bus to convert it and travel Australia. And at the end of 2021, after high school, despite how academic I was and what everyone thought of me, I decided to put my dream and my happiness first. And after years of working and saving, here I am at age 19 with my Toyota Coaster. So I've decided to document this process because I literally don't know what I'm doing, but I want to inspire you to live, work and travel on your own terms and just figure it out as I go. So make sure to subscribe and join me on this amazing journey. It feels so weird because I haven't picked up a camera in literally months. But yeah, welcome back to my bus build, episode 2, which is going to be a lot shorter and perhaps not as interesting as the last episode or the episodes to come. Yeah, essentially where I've been is I took a little bit of a break from the bus build. So after the last episode, my dad and I straight away kept working in the bus and we did the water tanks and the new floor, which you'll see in this episode. But we then hit a bit of a wall because I struggled to find someone to do the gas installation in my bus. I did find one company, but the quote was over $5,000, and the other companies that had quoted me less ended up being understaffed or just wanted to do full conversions. And anyway, it doesn't matter because I've now found one and my gas installation is booked for early July. But I thought rather than making everyone wait for this episode, I would just get this episode up, even if it's not like as, I don't know, interesting. Yeah, the reason why I couldn't do more is because we need the gas installation to be able to progress, because to do the gas we need to cut two big holes in the walls. So we can't insulate the walls and put up the plywood walls and just genuinely build out the bus without the gas being done. I have seen some people that have done it, but it just looks really complicated cutting through walls that have already been insulated. So I want the gas done, and that's finally happening. I got a really good quote and I'm really excited about the people who are doing it for me. But anyway, that's what's been happening. So yeah, people have been emailing me, like went to my Instagram, found my business email and sent me emails about what's happening with the bus build, and everything's totally fine. Yeah, sometimes life happens, I guess. So hopefully you enjoy this episode. As I said, it's pretty not as exciting, but it is still really important if you want to have a really good off-grid water setup, and just, yeah, if you want to redo your floor, if your bus has an old floor like mine did. Yeah, I guess where we struggled with were definitely the water tanks, and because it was just very confusing because I ended up mounting my water tanks under the floor, not in the bus, because I want to have maximum storage. Yeah, trying to find like compact videos of people that had a similar setup to mine was pretty much impossible. So my dad and I ended up coming up with our own little plumbing plan. So hopefully this video is helpful for you. And as always, if you have any questions or any suggestions, a lot of people leave me very good suggestions, just leave a comment below and I'll try to answer it as best as I can. I'll also put in the description box what products I use, like where I got my water tanks from and stuff like that. Yeah, make sure you subscribe and I hope you enjoy this episode. Okay, so as you would have seen in the last episode, we ended up taking out the original floor of the bus simply because we weren't sure of the condition it was in, and once again it was covered in glue completely. So we actually used a car jack to press it up from underneath because it was stuck down so tightly, and this really worked well. The whole process ended up taking about a day, but it wasn't too difficult compared to other things we've done in the bus. And then this little section at the front was in good condition, but it was also connected to the electronics, so I decided to leave it and just sand off the glue, which in the end looked really good. And then once the floor was finally out, it was back to cleaning, my favourite job, getting off all of this leftover glue and wood, and then treating any rust. Yeah, it was painful to say the least, and a heat gun barely helped. But anyway, we did get there in the end, and here's a clip of what it looked like once the whole floor was out. Okay, now for the water tanks, which I'm going to do my best to explain well because it was so confusing, but basically my dad built this frame out of aluminium for my water tanks, which I paid $1,000 for from the brand RV Tanks Australia. They're these custom ones for coasters to sit underneath the bus. Then my dad cut out this like piece of wood which would go underneath the tanks, and I just painted that with like waterproof coating. So now for the installation. So the first thing my dad did was install the frame into the bus chassis. So we didn't do any welding, and I'm also pretty sure we used pre-existing holes in the chassis. We didn't drill any new ones, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. And then he locked it into place with this glue for screws so that it can't ever come undone, just in case you're worried about the tanks being mounted under the bus while driving. Obviously I'm filming here, but to get the actual tanks into the frame to then screw it in is definitely a two-person job, and you just have to get creative. To start with, we just used these straps, but later on we ended up using the car jack to like lift the tank up into the slot. It took a long time to say the least, but I'm super happy that the tanks are under the bus, not taking up room inside. Here is a shot of a finished tank, so it's sitting in the frame and the 4 rods are holding it in place, which screw into the tanks. That's why these custom tanks are really good, because they have these pre-drilled holes for rods, and then that sits into the wooden like plate at the bottom. And yeah, it's a super tight and sturdy setup. Again, it just takes a lot of time, it's quite fiddly, and you do have to like DIY yourself, so shout out to my dad for doing 99% of the work. Onto the new floor, which was finally an easy job because we used the old floor as template. So even when we had to route areas like this because the floor was stuck together like a puzzle, it was just super simple because we had the old floor as the perfect template. And then I just painted it with waterproof painting so that the side facing the road doesn't get moldy or rot if water does splash on it. Also, just a side note, while I'm editing, we used 12mm ply, and then for the areas where there was sheet metal, we used 6mm ply. We glued down the floor using Sikaflex, I'm pretty sure, and then we screwed it in using the same holes, like the same spots that the old floor was screwed in. So here's what the bus floor looks like now that it's all finished. I haven't painted it, but I'm thinking I will also waterproof paint this. And I've just marked out like some things where things are going to go so we can actually properly start building. We haven't screwed down all of it because we're waiting for the hot water and gas to go here, and the gas plumbers might want to like take out the floor to make it easier to lay a gas line. But yeah, with things like this, you can see how beneficial it was to keep the old floor as a template, or even like back here, just some things just made it really easy. Anyway, here is a final snapshot of the water tanks, and once we do the plumbing and connect them completely, I'll make a video about that. But I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.